So in the last lecture, we talked about how to take a how to take a terminating decimal and convert that into a fraction. Okay, well, how about a repeating decimal? To do this, it's going to take a really neat little technique. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by letting x equal that number. I'm going to need to manipulate it in some ways. It's going to be helpful if I got an equation here. Right, so now I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to multiply both sides by 10. Why 10? Well, just bear with me. All right, bear with me, and you'll see where that 10 came from in just a second. Now, my next step is going to be to subtract these two. Okay? 10x minus x, that's just 9x. It's the other side where things get interesting. 3 minus 0 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0. 3 minus 3 is 0, and it zeroes all the way down. The fraction part is going to go away. Right, so this is going to become just 9x equals 3. If we divide both sides by 9, x is equal to 3/9, which reduces to 1/3. And remember, all the way back at the beginning, x is the original decimal number. Right? So x is equal to 0.33333, and it's equal to 1/3. That means that my decimal value must be equal to 1/3. Okay, do you see why I did 10 now? Right? 10 shifted all the numbers one unit to the left, right, one place to the left, lined everything up nicely so that when I subtracted, everything went away. All the decimal parts went away. Okay, so how about this one? Okay, if you're following along, if you're taking notes, whatever, I'm going to warn you up front. I'm going to do this the wrong way first, okay, because I want you to see why it's wrong. All right, and that's going to help you see, I think, what the right way is. So if we follow our previous procedure, I set this equal to a variable, I multiply it by 10, and when I try to subtract, trouble starts. Right? The decimal parts haven't lined up. 2 minus 1 isn't 0, it's 1. 1 minus 2, well, I can't even do that, and how am I going to borrow when I've got infinitely many digits to deal with? Not the way you want to do this. Right? So let's try this again. Okay, I'm going to start off with the same number. I'm going to set it equal to a variable. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. You need to shift that decimal point enough places that the repeating digits line up. Right? Well, there are 2 repeating digits, which means I'm going to have to shift the decimal point 2 places. Not 1 like happened when we multiplied by 10. So instead what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply by 100. Right? Because 100 moves the decimal point the 2 places that I wanted. Everything is now lined up properly. So I can subtract 100x minus x, that's 99x. 12 minus 0 is 12, and then it's 0.12s, if you will, all the way down. Everything cancels out. We divide both sides by 99. We get 12/99 to reduce that fraction. You get 4 3/3. There's our final answer. So I've got one more example that I want us to look at here, because this one is a little weird. Right? It's a repeating decimal. We've got those 3 little dots at the end. Okay, good. But the one up at the front of the decimal part isn't part of what's repeating. Right? The repetition is 242424, not the 1. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to handle this exactly the same way. Right? Exactly the same way. I'm going to start by getting a variable in there. Then I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 100. There's 2 digits that are repeating, right? The 2 and the 4. So I'm going to multiply by 1 and 2 zeros. That's going to shift everything 2 places to it's going to shift the decimal point 2 places to the right. And you see everything is lining up. Right? The 2s and the 4s all lined up just the way we need them to, so that when we subtract, they're ultimately going to go away. Right, so 100x minus x, that's 99x. 12 minus 0 is 12. 4 minus 1 is 3, so there's still a decimal part here. Then we got the 2s and the 4s. They're all lined up. Everything goes to 0. All right, so what am I going to do next? So I'm going to divide both sides by 99, just like before. And now we've run into a little bit of a problem. This is something you never ever want to see in a final answer. We're never going to mix decimals and fractions together like this, right? So we're looking for a fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply the top and bottom by 10. 12.3 times 10 is 123. The decimal went away. 99 times 3 is 990. Problem solved, although we do still have to reduce, right? I can get a 3 into both of those. 123 divided by 3 is 41. And 990 divided by 3 is 330. And there's my final answer. So there is another way of writing some fractions. It's called a mixed fraction, right? It's called that because it's like 2 2/5, right? It's a mixture of an integer part and a fraction part. Those really show up pretty rarely in practical settings, but they do show up from time to time, so it is something we're going to take a little bit of our time to go over.